Okay, so in life, I think there's 4,000 recorded religions. Now, religion's a big one. I don't know if you're religious or not, but most of us are, or we believe, or we have some sort of faith in life. But we've got a guest with us today called Carla, and like most people, she was brought up in a faith. She didn't choose it, it was chosen for her due to the fact that that was her family's belief system, which is fine. We all understand that, right? And it was a Christian faith, obviously good morals, Ten Commandments and all that, fantastic. But what happens when you join an organization or a congregation and it's not what it seems? In other words, it's almost like a cult. So that's what we're talking about, because we've got Carla today, and what she's saying is, I'm going to let her say it in her own words, but she's going to describe an experience that she had, and it wasn't this loving place of worship. It become more of a dictatorship, and in fact, if you were going to describe it as she is, it was more like a cult type of thing. Like I said, I don't want to put words in her mouth. She's going to tell you this story. So before we go any further, I just want everyone to be aware that what you're about to hear can be very distressing. And if you're not of a certain age, do not watch it. It could be quite graphic and it could cause distress. And for legal reasons, I'm just talking to you now, Carla. I need to ask you a question just to make sure that you're fully aware. Before we begin with your story, I just want to confirm for the recording that this conversation is based entirely on your own personal experience and opinions. And you understand this interview is being recorded and will be published publicly on my YouTube channel like we're doing now, okay? And you give full permission for it to be used and shared. And are you happy with this?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Good stuff. Again, this video is not going to be edited in any way, so everything you're about to watch is literally in one take, which is all right, isn't it? Okay, so let's find out what's going on. We're going to talk to her and our guest in a second, so put your seatbelts on, guys. This is going to get very interesting.
Analyzing the news.
Right, so here she is now. She's just having a little swig of a drink. She's having a beer there. Is that beer? Is that what they call it in America? Beer?
Yeah, it's a lager. Yeah,
Or do you call it lager?
it's a lager.
Lager, yeah. I don't drink lager. It gives me something called a beer belly. So I try,
Yeah, I don't drink all the time. What? I'm at a winery and they have beer and wine, so I'm out of a beer.
I tell you what, do you know in England, beer is very expensive. Very expensive.
Really?
Yeah. Really expensive. I know you're in dollars, aren't you? So I'd say for a pint of lager, I don't know how much is in America, but I'd say in American dollars, you're talking about $8. Is that what you pay?
No, like I think this one. Well, I'm at a winery, so it's a little bit different because it's all like locally brewed and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this is like $6, but normally you can get them for like $3, $4, $5.
Well, wow, that's cheap. I'm moving to America.
It's way cheaper in Mexico, I'll tell you that though.
It's crazy, isn't it? In Spain, it's even cheaper. I'm going to Spain in a month, and their money is called euro, and it's like €1, which is about 90 cents in America for a pint. It's crazy, isn't it?
That's really crazy because Mexico was like $1. I think it's like $1 or something for a beer. Is like, and we complain, sometimes they raise the prices in Mexico and we
Mm,
complain like, oh, they raised it so many pesos. But in reality, it's like 10 cents on our dollar.
it's
And we go
crazy.
out and we'd be like, okay, well, we spent way too much money, but it's like $20 for a whole day at the bar. So
Oh,
yeah.
well, brilliant. Just shows you it's because we pay a lot of tax in this country. That's why it's so bloody expensive. Anyway, we're not talking about alcohol. We just thought it was an observation. I just wanted to make you aware of that. It's so expensive in England, honestly. If you're thinking about moving to England, don't, unless you've got loads of money. And then, because it's so bloody expensive. Right, you're all right. We're talking about this. We're just breaking the ice. We're just talking about that for a second. Deep breath. Now, me and you were talking off screen just for a minute. I'm just making the viewers aware. You tend to talk very quick, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of information that you want to say. So So we have to sort of slow it down because there's so much information. And when someone's telling a story, it can almost be like a panic attack because there's so much information. You can't get it out quick enough. So you gave me permission to help you slow down, okay? Because we want to hear this. We want to hear your story. And
Stay on track.
you're going to try. We're going to do it. It's going to be good, right? So what we're going to do then, again, we just want to hear exactly what happened. So let's start from the beginning. So when you're a little girl, and I mean little, what's life like? Your earliest memories. What was the world like then?
So the earliest memories, the first house that we lived in, my mom was married to my dad, and then they divorced. I'd say when I was around 2 or so, and then my mom married her next husband. I don't want to call my stepdad, but she married him, and he was he got her slash me and her into this independent fundamental Baptist religion, and that was the earliest memory. I mean, there's earlier with my dad, but I mean, like kind of going through writing my book, I realized like, okay, so one of the first memories I have, and I've always had it my entire life, is my dad standing outside the kitchen and he had made breakfast. And I was so happy. Everyone's so happy. He made breakfast for everybody. But then I look back when I was writing, it's like, he never cooked. He never did any of that. I don't even know if that's a real memory or if I just made it up in my head because I needed a good memory of him. I don't know. But those are my earliest memories. I mean, there's some more in there, but they're in the book. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
My mic. I always it's one of them posh mics, right? And it's got a mute button on it, and I keep on playing with it like that, and I always touch the
Well,
off
I don't
button.
know if you're talking, but
Sorry, everyone. I said something really interesting and inspiring there, but I've completely forgot what it was because my mic was muted. But anyway, just to
say it
get
again.
back. So when you were younger, your earliest memory,
Uh-huh.
you're living with your parents, and then you're born into this religion, which a lot of people are
Uh-huh.
Americans, England, Christian faith. Okay, but what did
Well,
you?
I was born in not into that religion though. When
Right.
my mom was with my dad, we were Catholic, and there's a Catholic church that was like a block away on the next street from our
Mm.
house, and there was this empty lot and little path that we'd walk through to the Catholic church. But I don't, I know I was baptized Catholic, and Catholic ended after they divorced, but yeah, that was the religion I was born into. And then we switched over to Independent Fundamental Baptist when she married her next husband.
Right. Okay. And how can you remember how old you were when your parents, well, your mother, swapped, changed over to the different?
4.
You were 4. Okay, so you were young.
Hmm.
Okay, so this
Hmm.
religion, when I look at it, it's all Christianity basically, like Catholic. They say it's all Jesus, Mary, God, isn't it? The Holy Spirit, the Trinity. That's what the Catholics say. It's sort of all the sort of the same thing, but is it? It's confusing for someone who doesn't know. So, what's the difference now? So, this new religion. Can you just say the name of it again?
Independent Fundamental Baptist, IFB.
Right. So, with that religion, do they still follow this? They all follow the Bible. Is that
Hmm.
right? Okay. It's like
Hmm.
Catholics follow the Bible, Christians follow
Hmm.
the Bible, and the religion you're now in follows the Bible. So they should all be getting the same thing right. Okay. But again, there's different interpretations of the Bible, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So what's the interpretation from your experience of their perception of this Bible, the Bible, that the preaching and teaching to you and your mother?
So first, you said the religion I'm in. I'm not in that religion. I'm not in a religion. I have faith, but I do not believe in religion. But this religion, and I did a lot of research whenever I was writing my book and I started talking about it. And it started out, I think it was the 70s, whenever there's 3 men that they were Southern Baptist, and they decided the Southern Baptists were not strict enough. It was during the time of one of the wars, and the women started going to work at plants, and they started wearing slacks. And so these three men decided the women should not be wearing pants, and there should be a lot more rules and more conservative lifestyles made this independent fundamental Baptist religion. And so it just has so many rules. It's on the verge of being like almost Amish. So you have to wear skirts down your knees. You have to wear shirts that cover mostly everything. So like the one way to tell was when you kneel down on the ground on your knees, your skirt had to reach the floor. And whenever you wore a shirt, they had to cover the shoulders and everything. And then the neckline had to be 2 fingers below your bone right here. So nothing lower than this. And so and you also couldn't wear form-fitting clothes because of the fact that men cannot
Careful
control
what you
themselves
say.
as they
Before I was need to interrupt you, don't say any words. I know what you mean, right? Don't say any words begin with R because of the algorithm, okay? Because it'll shut it down. So,
yeah.
I should have
So
mentioned that before.
we have
So,
to protect the men's thoughts and actions. How
yeah,
about that?
like lust, because they say they don't want people lusting over you. So cover yourself up. Put a bag over your head. Anything.
Yes.
Don't draw any attention to it.
And the less is your fault because you allowed it.
Yeah. Do you know what I always find funny?
So
When I say funny, I always question this. And guys, people might correct me. Do correct me in the comments. But in the Bible, Adam and Eve walked around naked in the Garden of Eden. So they didn't cover themselves up. And I always think, well, because that's what it says, isn't it? And then when God spoke to them, that's when they hid themselves because he felt shame, because they knew right from wrong, because they took the fruit from the tree. That's what it says. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. So, but again, it's interesting, is it? But so this isn't the word of God. This is the word of a couple of blokes from the 1970s said, right, I tell you what we'll do. We'll create our own little laws and rules around it. Okay. That's what it looks like. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what you've said. Okay. So that wasn't written in the Bible. That was written out of the mouth of these human beings. Okay. I'm only telling you the truth, aren't we? We can't get done for telling the truth, can we? That is the truth.
well, it goes further.
Right. So tell me a little bit more. What else was it?
Okay. So another big thing is music. So
Right.
you cannot have the only music that's allowed is the traditional hymns, the ones that have no beat. There's no drums, there's no guitar, no beat. No, even Christian music that has any kind of beat, it's outlawed because a beat is from the devil, it's worldly, and it could lead you to whatever it wants to lead you to. There's even a song, I remember as a teenager or preteen or something, we had this they had a little in the little group in the church, and it was the teenagers would go and sing. And there's one song we learned and we sang, we performed. The next thing I know, they told us, okay, we're no longer allowed to sing that song because it has too much of a beat. And like even music, like every church service, everyone sings together. But right before the sermon, there is one person that gets up and sings a song. And when I was little, at the beginning of my life in that church, after she sang, we'd clap. Well, then all of a sudden one day, not long before I was 18, the preacher came out and said, "You are not allowed to clap anymore because clapping is celebrating the singer and not celebrating God. So you cannot clap for the singer anymore." So it was kind of like a constant change. Like, this is okay. Well, wait, this is no longer okay. Kind of stuff like that. So there's the music aspect, and do you want to stop or do you want to go forward?
So with this, I know we're getting pickier, but this is what we've got to do. We've got to sort of like break this down, because you got to really think about this for people who've not experienced this. It's like, don't enjoy your senses. And it's like, what does that mean? We all have senses. We listen, we feel, we taste, we touch, we smell, and it's like, don't listen to anything that's going to relax your body because it's the devil's beat. Well, it's not. It's vibration of sound, isn't it? But God created sound. But again, I don't really understand. Well, I've got an opinion, but I'm not going to share it. I want to know what's going on. So, let me ask you, at this time, I don't know if you're aware of it, but what was what was the conscious? Well, people aren't really conscious because they wouldn't put up with it. But what is the state of people's mindsets who are in this hypnotic, programmed, conditioned congregation that don't think? And if you do think, what are you thinking about? What's that like?
So I don't know about others. I know there was a small little tiniest little small group of us around the same age,
Mm,
kids that were in there. And I mean, I know they all thought the same. It's crazy, and
mm,
try to rebel a little bit on our own. But all the adults like, yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree that we shouldn't clap. I agree that that song had too much beat and it had too much fun, and we should not sing that. We should not listen to it anymore.
yeah,
And you got to separate yourself, and you cannot be doing that kind of stuff because
yeah.
you're gonna be representing the world, which is the devil.
Can I just do a side note? It's part of this. What you're saying.
Yes.
Um, I went to a funeral a couple of weeks ago, right? And my mum, she's lovely. She's a good person, right? And she's a Christian, but she's I'm not going to say which Christian it is, type of thing, because you have different congregations, right? And she is a good person, and she follows it. It's not as strict as what you're saying, okay? They don't celebrate Christmas and Easter and Halloween and birthdays and blood transfusions, right? Things like that. And you can still say, well, it does kind of say that in the Bible, so okay, I'll let you off, right? Because like Halloween's paganism, isn't it? And Christmas is paganism. If you go right back, you sort of research. But anyway, listen to this, right? So I went to this funeral, and my mum was there, and I see my mum all the time. But I saw her around all her other friends and who were there at the funeral to support her, and they all go the same hall, the church type of thing. And I hadn't seen them for years, and I was brought up in this, and I left when I was 15. I thought this doesn't align with me. It just doesn't feel right. I was a teenager. I wanted to go out and smoke. But when I saw them all, and they were like, hello, and they were talking to me, and they were lovely, and I'm looking at them thinking, you don't, they had nothing about them. It was like they were robots. And I couldn't say it to them. I was like, hey, all right.
So just
They couldn't think for themselves if it wasn't aligned to
mhm.
what they believe. So you got to remember, I'm an old man, so I've knew these people, well, for 40 odd years, but I haven't spent time with them for what, 20, 30 years. So I haven't seen them for a long time. You see them and they're like, that you can see that they haven't got that critical, analytical thought that they think outside the
Mhm.
box. It's like hypnosis. It was bizarre. I thought very uncomfortable, very
Mhm.
scary. And I'd never saw that before until I went back and thought, oh, that is weird. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Mm.
So that's someone
Yeah.
looking
It's
outside
very
in.
it's that's what but that's what they want. Like,
Yeah.
so like I talked about the beginning of the religion, those three men, and part of the whole skirt pants deal with women is they say, with the lust and stuff, but also the women need to be showing obedience to the men. The way they show obedience is to stay at home and wear skirts and not show their body off, not allow men to lust after them. It says that was part of the purpose of women showing obedience. And there is in the religion, there is certain rules for men and certain rules for women.
Mm.
And the men are pretty much allowed to go and look like regular men, but the women have to separate and look like independent film Baptist, I guess I have to say. I
Yeah.
don't know how to
And
describe
and
it.
is this not just in the church? They have to behave like that outside of the
Yes.
congregation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
They
so
it's
people.
very much
So
so.
just to interrupt
And
you.
like I
So
was telling you before,
yeah.
sorry,
So to
go ahead.
interrupt you, Carl, sometimes your internet's freezing. I can still hear your audio, but
Yes.
it'll freeze. Okay, that's your
Uh-huh.
internet. Okay, so do apologize if that happens. Um, but it's all right. Carry on. Sorry. Go on.
So yeah, And like I was telling you before we got on and started recording, there is all these different churches, all across the country, the Independent Fundamental Baptists, and they all kind of behave differently. Some are stricter than others. I think mine was not quite as strict as some of the other ones. And then there is, I think two colleges I know of, but there might be a third one. There's two colleges that are allowed to go to, as an independent federal Baptist. And so I've been in my research for my book, I was looking up, the rules. And they have rules of girls are not allowed to leave campus on their own. They're not allowed to be seen with a man on their own, even if they want to go on a date. They have to be chaperoned. They have to get approved. They have to be in their dorm by a certain time. And the men are allowed to go out on their own or do whatever they want. But they do send out people into the town, the city. And if they see you disobeying these rules, you get in trouble and potentially get kicked out, basically, because you're not following the rules. You're alone with a man, you're not dressed right, or you're listening to music, or you're at a movie theater, whatever rule you broke. But the men they may have the same curfew, but if they show up late, it's okay. But the women can get kicked out of college. Like there's just very much a obedience control aspect on the women in this religion. You're muted again. You're muted. You're I can't hear you muted.
I've done that button thing again. Sorry.
Muted.
Can you hear me now? It's on now. My microphone. It was off.
I can, yes.
Sorry, guys. Not professional at all. Am I? Really
For a while.
not. It's my fingers. I need to keep them there and stop playing with my microphone. But anyway, so yeah, it's like disfellowship. You're not fitting in line, right? You're stepping outside the box. But because your mom, she believes, and faith and belief is just a thought you keep thinking when you narrow it down, right? She's like, well, this is the Lord, and this is not knocking anyone. This is a perception. So now if you start to drift off, you put shame on the family. Even your family can dissociate from you. They'll go, right, they can even cast you out, can't they? That's how serious this can get. All for something trivial like, well, I'm just being. Is that right?
Well, it's kind of like, so like I said, I don't think the one I grew up in was quite as harsh because I did join some Facebook groups. I survived the IFB cult, and these people are talking about their churches have shunned people, and it sounds more like Amish. Like my church didn't shun people, but so there is different churches that have way further strict rules and guidelines. So I mean, it can, I guess, get to that cult point in this religion. But so I guess I'm lucky that it wasn't quite that bad.
But again, the thing about religions, they're good in a way. They are good in a way because it creates strength, community, and all the positive things which it does, and it's good. And people are trying to it's like big self-development organization, trying to improve themselves and keep perfect. But the problem is we're not perfect, right? We can't control our thoughts. We can manage them, but we can't control them because we're human beings. True, isn't it? I checked my mic then, make sure it was on. So it's almost, if you have that saying, force negates. And another thing, if you tell someone not to do something, subconsciously their brain doesn't understand the negative language. I don't know if you're aware of how the brain works, but it's true. Force negates. So they're saying, don't do that, don't do this, don't listen to music, don't do that. You're like, duh. And now you're getting stressed because you're trying to control everything. Before you know it, you're like, now you're miserable. So is that what it's like?
Well, I swear whatever they say don't do, I just want to do it. But I mean, it was in that. I mean, growing up like that, it was so much of. Well, and then I got to start too because our family was I say our family, me, my mom, and my stepdad's time. I felt so what's so it's so different from the rest of the church. So the rest of the church families, the kids that I had grew up with, they were born in that church. Their mom and dads were in that church. Their moms were staying at home moms. Their dads were, suit wearing. And here we come in, and my mom had been divorced. My dad wasn't going to church. I didn't have a relationship with my dad, and he did not wear suits. He smoked. It's kind of like I felt like I was not quite good enough as other kids, like I was looked down upon. And then you got into public, and I wasn't good enough because I was the one wearing skirts and stuff like that, and I didn't. So I felt so in my own little bubble of being weird, that I felt we were all weird in the church, but I was in my own little bubble of being weird. I was even weird in the church, kind of deal. And so I just kind of was yearning for a chance to like spread out and be
Mm.
who I was, that maybe I could be accepted for who I am, because feeling different and outcasted for being not who you are, but for
Mm.
being environment you're in, is like it's a whole feeling of lack of control kind of deal. It's a you like that's what I crave so much, is a control.
Mm.
Like if I'm going to be in the church, I don't want to be this weirdo in the church, but I don't want to be the weirdo outside in public with the world either. Like I just want to be me. And if I'm going to be weird, I want it to be weird because I'm weird, not because that's what I have to be.
Yeah. So when you were at school, then can you mix
Which one?
with? All right. So there was a few. So, but when
Yeah.
you were at school, could you not mix with worldly children, as they call it, people who weren't
So
in
the
the?
public school is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of public school. The total years of public school I did was four, and it
Yeah.
was fifth, sixth, seventh, and 12th grade. So fifth, I mean,
Mm.
12th grade's a whole different story. That was my breakout. But yeah, fifth, sixth, and seventh grade was, I don't remember having friends in fifth grade. I think I did. I really think I had one friend, but it was me coming out into this whole new world of kids I've never known before. I'd never been, I mean, in fifth grade, how old are you in fifth grade? You're like, what? So you're 18 and 12. So my maybe minus seven is 11. So 11 years old. Does that sound
Yeah.
right?
I don't
In
know.
fifth
We're in
grade?
England. We have different. We have
Oh,
different.
you do?
We don't call it fifth grade and stuff. We have like we call it first year, second year, or year seven, year eight. We have different terminology, so it gets a bit confusing.
Well, whatever, the fifth grade, I think it's like 10, 11. I don't know, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. But it's my first time being around kids of the public. I mean,
Mm.
I've been around a few here and there. Like there's this guy that my stepdad had worked for, and he had grandkids that were in public school. They're public and actually kind of popular. So I'd been around them, but it was been around them, in private, to where they understood where I was coming from. And so it's a whole different world. But when you're put into this world of kids that have no idea why you're wearing skirts, why you've never been around, where you came from, why you're dressed like you are, why you don't know music, why you're not going to dances, why you're not doing anything regular. It's very overwhelming a little bit. It's I didn't know how to be, but that's when I started realizing the fact that I was behind socially. You know, you I was so behind. I wasn't making friends. I didn't know how to. I knew I wanted them, but I didn't know how to act the way they did. And so that was when my self-realization started happening in my life.
I can imagine that because you're missing out. You're basically you're not in the world, and that's what they say. Do not be in the world, but like Jesus says, be in the
Not
world, but
really,
not
yeah.
of it. Right? So, but they're taking it literally. Like, don't talk to anyone unless they've
Hmm.
got the same belief systems as us.
Well, unless you're soul
Mm.
winning and you're trying to get them to go to church, you can talk to them then.
Yeah, like I say, it's similar
Mhm.
to with me when I was a kid. It was like so frustrating because I'm one of these people that I always think outside the box. I've always done it,
Hmm.
and that's not good
Yes.
if someone's trying to tell you what to do. I wasn't.
No.
I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to question things, but I couldn't help it. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And they're like, shut up. I'm
I
like, but why?
might not even have as big of a problem with that religion if I would have grown up in it and been told what not to do.
Yeah.
Like that was a problem of hearing you can't do this.
Mm.
And I'm very much a stubborn and independent person.
Yeah.
I do talk about in my book. Now, is it so much my nurture or nature? Like, was I going to be this stubborn and independent anyways, or is it
Mm.
because of the church?
But
Like, I don't know.
what is that? You know, when people say, "Oh, you're stubborn," or "you're naughty," or "you're disobedient," or is it really? I said, "I'm not. I'm just." And that was my argument. They'd say, why are you not conforming?" They didn't say the word conforming. Why aren't you
Mhm.
obeying, or whatever word they try to match? But
Uh-huh.
all I'm saying, because I'm not. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I was born with an intellect, the ability to think and question.
What
And then they say,
but you're
don't
supposed to
question. I'm like, but that's
yes, no.
ignorance. I mean, mum, like, you're being ignorant. I went, ignorance is bad. I need to, ignorance is saying it's that being narrow minded. I can't do it. And I always said, and I was only like 5. And I'm questioning things, and they thought something's wrong with him. He's asking too many questions. But then you think, but that's you've got to question things, haven't you? It's like, why?
Yes. Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
do. And I
yeah,
have to question things because and if there's a reason, I can agree with you. But
yeah.
I do. I question things, and I've been told, I'm very argumentative and I'll argue with the fence of us, but it's not arguing. If it's me
Mm,
telling you my opinion or me trying to understand why you're telling me I'm wrong or something like that. And that's what the church does. And I
mm,
don't believe in organized religion now. I believe in faith. I believe
yeah,
in faith. And I believe that we all have, no matter what religion you're in, or even if you don't have religion, Buddha,
yeah,
Christianity, everything like that, Catholic, whatever you are, if you believe in some kind of thing, some
mm,
higher power, then I think we're all the same. It's just the religion is putting these rules, these man-made rules, and saying, okay,
mm,
this is what you have to believe, and you have to not agree with this religion. It's all about these man-made things. Whenever I think at the core of having faith, the core of believing whatever you want, and whoever you want, it's all the same thing. You believe in God, Buddha, whatever, and
mm,
that's the important thing, and it's supposed to be about being given love and sharing the stuff, but religion's taking it from sharing love and understanding into you're going to be this way, and I'm going to tell you how to think and how to act, and if you
yeah.
don't, then you need to get out, and everyone else is wrong and we're right, and this is how it is.
It's. I want people's comments on this, right? Because I want to know the answer. I'm doing is asking questions about everything. So I said to my mum, I said, "What is the Bible?" And she said, "It's the Word of God." I'm like, "Okay," and that's what anyone says. It's the Word of God. I'm like, "Okay." So God, am I right in asking, did God write the Bible? And they'll say no. I said, right. So whose word is it? You just said it was God's. They said no. It was inspired by the word of God. I said, okay. So
Well,
who did it inspire and then written it? And they said, and I'm like, well, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I'm like, okay. And then I start reading it. I said, well, let me read some stories. And I hear about Jonah and the whale. I'm like, nah, I can't accept that. If I told someone I've just been in a big whale and lived there for so many days and survived, you'd think I was crackers. You'd put me in a mental home. But because it says it in the Bible, they think, oh, it's true. And like, but can we not question it? Like, no, don't question it. I go, okay. So now I'm stupid because I'm not using my senses, God given senses, intelligence. And then did you find this? Because again, this is to the audience. If anyone's been brought up in religion, it's like you have this guilt complex. I'm like, I'm questioning God, and I should I be questioning it? But part of my brain's asking perfectly reasonable questions. It's not I'm being disrespectful. I'm just trying to understand it because at the minute, to me, it looks like somebody's lying to me. It looks like someone's thought, oh, we can make a lot of money out of this. Because if I wanted to make a lot of money now, and I know people do this, I would just
have a
create a
preacher.
religion, right? I would get someone who's very insecure, right? Steal some ideas from a previous proven religion and just adapt it a little bit and ask for contributions. I'd be a millionaire. That's how people do it. This isn't
Mhm.
thing
That
that we've got
that's
to
how
get
this
this
religion
straight,
started.
haven't we? That's reality.
That's how this religion started.
You look at these,
Well,
you know,
and
these
even
pastors and all that, and you're like, no, you're not. You don't. It's.
pastors, they have their private jets and stuff,
I'm like,
and like you
wow.
need to keep giving, and you keep giving, you're giving to God, and let me go get on my private jet and go on vacation for a little while. You're giving to this guy. But even like you talked about your this guilt thing, I didn't really have that. I had the questioning. I had so much questioning, but
Mm,
even going back to what you were saying before that was this whole the Bible, which I believe there was I believe God spoke and there is these rules, these laws, there is a message in the history that God had. But you go look at the Bible, what was originally written in a different language than what it is today. And so I mean I'm kind of like off the deep end. I will look up all kinds of stuff. And if it's something I have not heard before, I will listen to it. And I've listened to so much stuff. And so you even look at the people I've listened to and certain phrases in the Bible, like the something about the eye of a needle, camel. Oh, my mom's gonna kill me for not remembering this verse, but you it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to for a rich man to go into heaven or something like that. But whatever it is, there is people have looked up that phrase, the wording in the original language, and it doesn't even mean what they're saying it means. Like you, we don't even know if that's truly what the message was or if it was translated wrong. You don't know. It's all man based. There's so much man based in religion in what you're supposed to believe, and like with the IFB, I even went to the preacher one day and I said, look, I don't think that girls need to wear pants, but if you can show me in the Bible where it says that girls need to wear skirts and these are, it's how long the skirt has to be and all kinds of I go with it. I will not argue. I will comply and never complain again. And he goes, well, it says this verse over here. I said, but that's not saying anything about a skirt or how girls supposed to dress. And because it says something about your women and men are supposed to look different. I don't remember what it said, but I said, well, that's not saying anything. Like girls' pants and guys' pants are different. Girls' shirts and guys' shirts are different. I will still look like a girl if I wear regular clothes. He goes, well, I'm just gonna have to research this and get back with you, but he never did. So there is
yeah,
all these little deals of, and
yeah.
even with him, I think it wasn't because of he sat there and researched and said, oh yeah, women need to wear skirts. It was because
Mm.
he's like, well, I like this religion, and they say that women need to wear skirts. These are the rules. This is what we're gonna do, and this is what all of y'all are gonna do because I'm your preacher.
There's like, in the Bible it says God is a loving God, and
Yes.
it talks when it say is a loving God. It's like, well, it's like it's talking about, oh, he is a loving God. So well, is he someone else then? The way it's worded, and then in the beginning of the Bible it says God said to the angels, "Let's make man in the image of us." And I'm like, oh, so that's plural. That means two. I'm like, what was he? And I'm like, oh. And then the other one, people say when I was a kid, we had to go to a Catholic school, even though my mum was Christian. We used to go to church, and he'd say the guy would say about heaven and hell. If you're good, you go to heaven. I'm like, right, good. Where's heaven? And they go, well, if you're good, you go there. I'm like, but where is it? And then we wouldn't be able to answer it. So because he couldn't answer me, I thought, well, I'm going to find out because I'm nosy. So I read the Bible. I'm like, where does it say about heaven? Oh, there it is. Jesus said it. Jesus says where heaven is. I thought, what did he say? Because I want to know where it is. He said, heaven is within. I'm like, what? Within? What, in here? That's what he
Within
said.
us.
That's what it says in the Bible. Heaven is within. Read it. Heaven is within.
Yeah. No, it
So
does. It
I'm
says that.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clouds, thinking it's up there. Heaven is within, and I'm like, okay, I like that. That kind of makes sense now. I'm like, oh, I get
Mhm.
it. Peace is within. Be in the world, but not of it. I thought, I get that. I get that, but not to the extreme that they're thinking. Be in the world means be in the world, be in it, but not of it. That means because if there's wickedness and like don't really vote with
Wickedness.
politics, we all know the corrupt. We all know that it's all coming out in it, right? That's what it means: be in the world but not of it. And I thought that makes sense. Okay, do not lean on your own understanding. That makes sense. These are all proverbs, and I like that. See the things that are not as if they already were. That's another thing from the Bible. I thought I like that. Happy are those conscious of their spiritual need. That's another one. See, I know all this stuff, and I rejected it because I studied it, and that's what you got to question things, haven't you? Again, and that's
But
what
you
you
can't.
you did. If you don't question it, you'll just follow along. It's like,
But
go on.
feel still is so many more like kids that grow up in religion, no matter what religion it is,
Mm,
if you allow them to question it, if you allow them to kind of figure out what they believe, there'd probably be a lot less kids that would stray away from, faith. There's so
mm,
many kids that stray away from it because they have it shoved down their throat
yeah.
and they're not going to believe anything anymore.
Mm,
I do believe in faith and I take everything in my past, the religion, everything like that, and I turn into positive. And as much as I was miserable in that church, I don't regret any of it. I learned so much. Oh, oh no, my battery's dying. Oh,
well, there you go. You've upset the spirits. You've upset the church. They're coming
oh,
after you. That's what they'll say.
oh.
That's a sign. Sign of the times.
Sign Times Square's gotta shut up.
No, do you know what? On a positive note, because I'm not completely ignorant, there's definitely something in there. Come on, right? But there's definitely a God. I'm not denying God. One,
Yes.
right? But I don't.
But no matter what you call him, like if you call him God or Buddha or Allah or whatever you
Yeah,
call him, if you're believing, I believe it's all the same thing. Maybe some people call it something different, but you have that faith in that higher power,
yeah.
and I believe it's all the same thing.
So how I've come to terms with it, and I said to my mum this because I said, "Mum, I believe in God. I just don't believe in people, and people written
Hmm.
the Bible, and that's all, right? Because people are corrupt, right? People in power, and obviously, because the
Yes.
Bible's been published and changed and manipulated, and we know that. If you look at the First
Hmm.
Testament and then the Second Testament, completely different, right? So we know that, right? But do I believe Jesus existed? Yeah, definitely. Do I believe that he was this really perfect man? Yeah, because they're still talking about him. Is there a power in it? Yeah, because I've seen it. I've seen people's life completely transform. And I'm like, what are they tapping into? And they say it's the word of Christ. And they're praying to Jesus. I'm like, well, there's something in this. This is not, this is real. So that aspect, I'm not mocking. I'll never mock
No,
that. This is real. There's
nope.
something there,
This is
right?
real.
And that
But they
thing that
also
we call,
teach love.
yeah,
The religion teaches love, but they don't show love. The religion teaches love
yeah.
and don't judge. Like you're not supposed to cast a stone, right?
Mm,
And God is only person that's supposed to judge. But yet each church judges each church, and they also judge everybody outside the church.
yeah.
So, but we're not. The Bible teaches not to do that. The Bible teaches love and acceptance and stuff like that. Maybe just don't act sinfully, but
Mm,
I mean, they judge. They constantly judge. And you walk into a church, and it's a lot of judgment, and that's why I don't believe in organized religion, but I have faith, and I have a lot of knowledge
mm.
from growing up in it, and I appreciate the knowledge that I do have. I appreciate the love that it instilled in me. I just don't believe in the religion part of it.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing here. We're separating the two, right? One's spirit,
Hmm.
one's physical, material, organized
Hmm.
human beings like me and you, right?
Hmm.
Who've got intentions, and it's called a God complex. People think they're gods. I've met people. Who think they're psychics. I'm like, you're not. You're not. I don't say it to them. I'm just looking at them, and they've got. I'll say, "What do you do in life?" And they'll say, "I'm a psychic," and I'm like, "You're not." I don't say it to them. I'm like, "You're not. You're just insecure, and you've got no idea.
Huh?
You've experienced trauma in your life, and you're trying to attach yourself to something because you don't believe in yourself." And I know I can read
Yeah.
people like books because all my life I've watched people on stage pretending that they're talking about something. I've seen it. It's
Well, that's what
the
being a
ego,
psychic
isn't
is,
it?
right? It's just reading people.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's some people in the world that aren't tuned in to. Yeah, of course he is. When people, you see these people that I'm a psychic, I'm like, you're not. You're unemployed, and you've got mental health. Now, I know you can't say that. You can tell the truth. There's certain people in the world who they don't feel enough, right? And they all want to be
Hmm.
part of something. It's took me a long time to realize this. We all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Because to think that, oh, we're just here alone and no one's going to save us, that is terrifying. So we all have to believe in a savior. I do believe, right? I don't know what it is though. I believe it's good because something created us, and I don't think it created us to torment us. Love's real,
No.
right? There is a pure energy of that's created. That's true. We know it is, and we call that thing God. But we don't know what the word is because it's non-physical, right? We'll never get our head around it. Like Socrates says, knowledge is knowing how little. We don't know, but we're aware of it. It's like, what is that? They go, that's the spirit of it. Okay, I like that word because it matches it. There's something in here, and when I pray to it, it manifests into a physical form. It's very real. This isn't psychological games. This is, I just think that a thought and a belief and a knowing are completely different. Like if you got kids, you got children,
Yes.
right?
Two.
So I'm asking you a question, right? Just to show you what I mean. Do you think you love your kids, or do you know you do?
I know it. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't. Oh, I think I love them. You know you do.
Well, there's some days.
Yeah, they get on your nerves. You don't like him.
No, you always
Sometimes
love
say, I
them,
don't like you,
like
but I
them.
love you. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
it. You might not like them, but you love them. And I think that, what is that? And no one can figure it out. They can't. It's top scientists. What is it? They have theories, but like it's not right. It's wrong. And they we don't know. We don't know what consciousness is. We don't know what this thing is that it's observing the world. We don't know. We know how thoughts are formed by neurons. So I know that, like with you, that religion, you're getting told repetitively over and over again. You believe a lie often enough, you start to believe it, right? We know that that's neurons in the brain. That's how you hypnotize someone. You can tap into their unconscious mind. The power of suggest. We can explain that. So yeah, it's manipulation. That's what adverts do all the time. They're trying to sell us something. But then there's the knowing bit. So you recognize that you're brought up into this thing. You can see it now. What's that conscious awareness? You're like, I can see it now. This is an organized thing here. Someone,
Yes.
there's an agenda here.
Man-made.
Yeah. So tell me more about
Well,
it. What's going on? So what happens next?
Well, I have a little bit. I got. Let me see here. 27%. Okay, but no. And the deal is religion. That church I grew up in. Like we should all question and have our own opinions. We do. We all have our own. And if you believe, you have faith, you believe in God. God made every one of us different. So why is it that I have to believe what this man told me that I need to believe? And why can't we all just believe what we think? And we may be right, we may be wrong, but why can't we talk it out and just agree to disagree, and be okay with it? Why can't it just be, if you have faith, like if you what if there was one church, you don't call it religion, but there's one church and you don't go and hear about the rules of this religion. You go and you uh Paul, you know what I'm trying to say? Can you help me out here?
Yeah.
Like, what if there was just one religion and it's not a religion, it's just a faith? You just go and you talk about, and you can disagree, and you can just, because there's a lot of times that I think something and I could talk to somebody and I could believe something completely different. At the end of the conversation, I could agree with them more than I agreed with myself in the beginning. We all don't know everything. We all are learning from each other.
Yeah.
And we all gotta love each other and accept each other, even if we disagree.
Yeah, it's like what you said. If you, like years ago, if you go back to like the 1980s or whatever, right? I don't know how old you are, but if you go back in time, not that long ago, people usually over 40.
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah, it does. So the world was completely different. So yeah, 30 years ago, if you watched the telly and you saw something, oh, someone's got mystical powers, you'd sort of believe it. If someone did a magic trick on the TV, you'd go, oh, what did they do? You can't get away with it now because the curtain's been pulled away. Like, oh, it's a trick. So you'd have a guru and people will think, oh my God, it's a guru. But I've been to India, right? If you go to India, mate, every 5 minutes, you'll see someone who's a guru, right? and they're like old, and I'll teach you your fortune. I'll tell you I want your money, right? If you're a guru, if you're in tune, if you're sent from the heavens, and you're in a line with the Jehovah, the God, the Allah, the creator of the universe, right? You're in tune with them. You're not going to ask for money, are you? You don't need to, right? Quit being fashioned by the system of
win the
things.
lottery.
Yeah, you don't need to win the lottery. You are the lottery. It's like,
Yeah.
and this is the bit, and I think, right, so what is that? If someone is if there is someone who literally is in tune, and I mean pure, can you imagine that? Someone is literally in tune with God perfectly, right? Can you imagine what that person would be? And they were walking on this earth. They wouldn't go, come on, buy tickets to come and see me show. They would just be, can you imagine that? The energy, the power that would come out of that human being, the light, it'd be just his presence would bend the universe, right? So why is not that happening? Instead, you get people on YouTube going, hey, I'm a motivational speaker. I can change your life. No, you can't, mate. You just want money. Let's get it right. The charlatans, and they're everywhere, and people are cottoning onto it more so now. It's a money thing. It is. It really is. But then some people will argue, goes, but no, there is real spiritual people out there. And I'm like, where are they? Because I've been looking. Where are they?
He's gotta, like I also question why from the religion. I question everything, and I even question what I believe. Like I believe the Earth is round. Then you start looking at people and how they talk about the Earth being flat. And I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. That's so I started to question myself, but I am not someone who is so much. Yeah, the Earth is round, and I'm not going to believe anything. Listen to you, and you might have a really good disagreement on that. So at the end of the day, I still believe the Earth is round, but it's kind of believable what the people say about it being flat. So I'm kind of like, I could be persuaded if you gave me, enough evidence. But I love listening to other, like the crazy viewpoints, the craziest viewpoints out there. That intrigues me. That really intrigues me. You go back to any kind of conspiracy theory. I love listening to them. If I believe them or not, they're intriguing. Everybody's different viewpoints are so intriguing.
Yeah, I think what it is, because I think there's conspiracies everywhere now. The word conspiracy, it's to conspire against. People think, oh, conspiracy. What does conspiracy mean? It means to conspire against. What does that mean? Where did it come from? Right? Because I question everything. That's why I know what I'm talking about. Because I'll go and find the answer. And so it came from JFK. When they shoot at the JFK, that footage come out. So they said someone shot him. But it was filmed, and that was released, and people thought, this was back then when it happened. They said the bullet went that way, but his head went the other way. They said that doesn't make sense. They started to question it, and that's where the word comes from, to conspire against. And ever since that, people are like, the government, are they lying to us? It's like now you look at space. It's like they've sent a man to the moon in the 1960s, but they can't do it now. I'm like,
but they also recorded like the spaceship leaving the moon, but they also got the video. Yeah. Anyway.
But either way, the thing is, right? You're like, so say the flat Earth theory, right? It might be true because we've seen a picture of it on Google Maps looking round.
It's kind of interesting.
It's interesting. So, but say the flat Earth people, the right, say, right, well done, you're right, it's flat. Now what? And say, well, I don't know. You prove my point. Well, what do we do now? I don't know. Let's watch Netflix because we've talked about it. What are we going to do next? It can't go anywhere. So you think, right? Yeah. What I always ask, it says, what do you know? What do you know for sure? So if you were going to think, right, I'm going to try and figure this out myself. I don't want to listen to a church or an outside influence. I'm trying to tune into God, right? Because the only person who can help me is God. Yeah. Whatever this God is, right? I don't want to read a book that someone's written or an organization, right? Because that's their beliefs. And there's 4,000 recorded religions. So I've got a lot to pick. They all believe.
I didn't know there's that many.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's recorded. The biggest ones is Christianity, Hinduism, Muslim and Christianity are the main ones. They're the biggest ones, right? but they can't both be
But
right.
Christianity has all the different levels of that though too.
Yeah, and then you have
Like
Protestant,
Christianity,
Catholic, and then like your church, and then you
Baptist,
different
yeah.
versions. Now this
Uh-huh.
day and age, they're trying to make it more funky and like, I'm like, what? Just what? So, what do you know for sure? Really, knowledge is knowing how little we know, and
Yeah.
what
So
do you know? And this is the thing: proving that you felt something come from that there's certain things that you do in life. There's certain states of awareness that you tap into. You can call that faith or whatever word you want to use. What is it that you think, that's where it is? Whatever this thing is, this creator that I'm tuned into, it's sort of in that direction. So, it's a complicated question because it's non-physical. You're talking about something that you can't
yes.
taste, touch, see, smell, hear. You can't experience it through your senses because it's spirit or energy or non-physical, right? But that's the thing we're trying to get to, and on this as well, there is definitely two worlds going on. There's the physical world, and they say that what's happening in the world now. In the Bible, it says, "Woe to the heavens and the earth, because Satan comes down with great anger." You've heard that. Everyone hears that, right? And they said, "What does that
Yeah.
mean?" It says, "Well, Satan rules the world," and that's what it says in the Bible. That's why the world's wicked, and the power of
Yeah.
the world lies in the hands of the wicked one. Who's that? Satan, Lucifer. They said, okay, so
Yeah.
it says it in the Bible, and they said that's why people do wicked things. I'm like, is it? Is that true? Some people believe it is because this thing's called Satanists. And now all of these Epstein files that are coming out now, it's all over the news. You've seen it. I knew about that years ago. I
Yeah.
know about Satanists. It's just under,
Yeah.
but now it's coming to the surface now. But years ago, you think, oh, the people don't do that, do they? Of course they do, right?
Uh-huh.
It's paganism, which was all about sacrifices, partially. Then that was before Christianity, and people don't even know that. So the world was pagan, then it became Christian. Does that make sense? You're
Well,
like, what?
even if you look at Christianity, okay, your faith, your religion
Mm,
in Christianity is you're taught that you used to have to do sacrifices. All these people in the Bible did sacrifices.
yeah,
So why are we not doing sacrifice? Like there since when did man change that we no longer need to do sacrifices kind of stuff? When did that change?
I
It's
think
just so much it's just so much like and that's what you believe, that's fine. My husband believes that aliens are real and I don't. But I'm not going to tell him that I'm right and he's wrong. He could be right. There could be aliens.
mm,
I don't think there is, but he could be right.
it could be, yeah. We
All of
don't
us
know.
could be right, and no matter what we believe, if you don't have facts on it, if I could sit here and say I have a phone, I have a phone to prove that I have a phone. What if you don't have the phone in your hand? You say you have a phone. I mean, I can believe you or not believe you,
Mm.
and we can all agree, disagree, and we could all be right around.
So, like that with that phone analogy, like 30 years ago, if you said to someone, in the future, not long from now, there's going to be a thing called a mobile phone. They go, I go, what a phone? I go, yeah, and it's made, got glass on it. You can talk to anyone in the world. You can watch TV on it in 4K. What's 4K? You can watch it in 8K. What's 8K? Ultra, and telling them, explaining what the world's like now. They think you're mental, and you would get locked up. But now, if you're mental, you can make a TikTok video and people will praise you.
Yes.
It's so different. So, but if you told people if that this reality
Yes.
back then, they'd go, "That's ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
because they can't see
Mhm.
it." So, what we're like with your husband, right? He's saying there's aliens, and you go, "That's lunacy," right? But in his, it's because it could be that you can't see what he can see. I'm not saying he's seeing aliens, but he has a broader perspective, right? So he's convinced. He got, yeah, because I can see it, not physically, but I can see how they can become. And again, that's all. Again, it's perception. It's perception on
Well,
how you see things.
we have. I mean, even like for the aliens. I mean, there's quite a few things that I believe and he does, or he believes and I don't. But
Mm,
it's not. We don't sit here and argue like, "Oh, I'm right," or "No, I'm right,"
yeah.
or "You got to believe this." It's like, okay, this is what I believe, and I'm curious as to what he believes, and I don't. I think he's curious as to my belief, but either way, we don't argue about it. We sit there and say, "Okay, I accept you believe that. You believe there's aliens. Okay, I don't." But you know what? You could be right. One day I could see an alien, I guess, because I never thought I'd have a phone. I remember whenever text messaging started, and
Yeah.
that was so weird to me, text messaging. Even cell phones. I mean, all of it was so weird. The caller ID, all that kind of stuff was so weird and so new. And I wouldn't have believed where we are today if you'd have told me when I was little.
No. Again, if you question everything, it's like, if your husband, if we, let's just play with that idea for a minute, right? So if your husband says, he believes in aliens, and you go, I don't. But I'm not going to argue with you. You believe it, I don't, end off. But if you say to him, I said, I'll tell you what we'll do together. You should do this, right? I said, let's play with it for a bit, okay? Let's just ask questions. So if there is aliens, where are you getting your information from? Now, if he says, well, I saw it on YouTube, someone was talking about it. I said, well, that's not plausible. That's an opinion. You've just listened to it, right? I said, right, where are you getting your information from? I said, well, I don't know, but I've just got a gut feeling. Right, let's go with that. If aliens existed, where are they? Are they in this realm? Are they in this physical world? Are they on a different planet? Is that plausible? Yeah, we know we live in a universe and there's billions of planets. We know that. So the chances of us just being the only life form on Earth, is that likely? No. So when you look at it that side, is there other physical beings of flesh and bone or goo?
Right, yeah. Like
Probably.
you said, and I don't believe in aliens, but then it's really hard to look at the whole universe, all these different planets out
Mm,
there. And I'm arguing myself saying, okay, you tell me Earth is the only planet in the whole universe that
yeah.
has living creatures on it. So that's unbelievable to me too. Like I even disagree with myself.
Mm,
I just disagree with myself about a lot of my beliefs. And I can say here and say, well, this is what I believe, but then you dive down into it and I can contradict myself on the beliefs I even have. So but that's what I love. I love to talk with people and get into their beliefs and agree, disagree, or like learn from each other. That's a big deal. Learn from each other, be nice, be kind, be positive, and you can agree or not. But I love hearing what people have to say because their thoughts are so different from mine.
yeah.
I love the different thoughts.
Absolutely. It's like me. Sometimes I'll walk, and if it's sunny, if it's summer, and at night time you see all the stars in the sky. I look up at the sky. I'm like, what is that? And instead of negating it, which is pointing at it, goes, oh, it's a star. Just looking at it for what is it? What actually is that? And it's sort of overwhelming because the truth is we don't know. We say, well, that's called a star. I said, no, that's what we call it, but what is it? So we don't know. And you look up and there's thousands of them. It's like, what is that? And they're all looking down at us. And it's sort of like, wow. And we're sitting there watching Netflix in a little box we call a house. I'm like, what's going on? We're being narrow minded. And it is interesting. And look at someone like
Yes.
Elon Musk, right? Why is he so successful? Because he looks outside the box. He doesn't he doesn't stop thinking and asking questions.
Uh-huh.
That's why he's so rich. People think, oh, and then people have this conspiracy against him. Might be true, but again, that's just an opinion. We don't know. Is it accurate? No, because it can't be accurate because it's just opinion. Nobody knows him. Everyone's got opinions about everything. It's like your church, right? You go to your church and you've got an opinion, and I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, I kind of agree with you there, right? But then there'll be other people at your church and I went, yeah, and they'll tell the same story, but they've got a different experience. He goes, yeah, it is like that because, and then they explain it and said, so there you have it again. It's a thingy.
In my chair, and I can tell you,
Mm. God, sorry, you froze and carry on. Sorry.
oh, am I moving now?
No, you're all right. You just froze for a minute. You're
Okay. No,
you
like
can.
the chair thing. I can tell you, I'm sitting in this chair. It's really comfortable. This chair is really great to sit in. And you can sit here and believe me or not believe me. But you can also come over here and you can sit in this chair and you can also say, I don't think it's very comfortable. We still, even though we have our own facts of this chair is comfortable or not comfortable and disagree, but you never know until you sit in the chair whether you're going to agree with it or not. So it's like go back to aliens or whatever, the moon until I see an alien, I might not accept that they're real, but I would like to know about other people's opinions on why you think it's real. Why? Because I have so many opinions, and it's all opinions coming from the what I've heard from other people, and it's all interesting, and Yeah, I love it's very interesting. It's the whole flat earth. I still believe the earth is round, but it's kind of hard listening to other people sometimes because I want to believe both. They're both very intriguing.
But the thing is, if that was never announced, the flat Earth theory, no one would have known any wiser. It was only because it was suggested, then it got traction. People were like, oh, that's a question. That's a good question. So now people started to
But
think.
and why aren't people allowed to fly into Antarctica? Like, why is it such a? But here's the deal about that. They say that people aren't allowed to fly there, but I haven't actually flown there to say that I can't fly there. So it's all,
So the
you
reason
know,
why, that's a good question, right? Why? Okay, so we can sit there and go, I wonder why that is. That doesn't make sense. It's a conspiracy, or you could say, what's? Let's understand weather patterns. Let's understand how the wind affects aircrafts, because obviously you get turbulence. If you if you fly over mountains, you're going to get turbulence. If you fly over high winds, it's not safe. A plane cannot fly in certain conditions, cold conditions. Is that the answer? Probably. It's like, why can't you play with fire because you'll get burned? Why can't you fly a plane in certain parts of the world because it'll get burned, it'll freeze, the wind will destroy it. The climatization's not made. The plane's not made for that type of environment. That's probably the plausible answer. Because my
well, see,
mate's a
that's the first
pilot, and
time
I
I've
asked him
heard that
about.
answer, though.
But that's where he got a question. My mate's a pilot, and I said to him, "What's turbulence?" And because I fly all the time, and it terrifies me. And I'm like, "Why does it do that? What is turbulence? Are we going to?" And he went, "No, it's fine." And he explains it, and then once he explains it, and he really explained it to me, and he stayed excited as he's explaining it. And because he was so excited and he knew what he was talking about, I'm like, oh, I get it now. So now I know how planes are in the earth and how the magnetic pole and the wind streams and how it affects a plane's motion. Now I'm just dead relaxed because I know the pilot's loving this because he knows exactly what's coming. He can forecast it. But again, you can't go over certain areas. So that would be the answer that a pilot would say, but a conspiracy
Well,
theorist wouldn't. They'd just say it's a conspiracy. But you
well,
can't
and
say
my mind is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go on.
I'll say like my mind is always running. What I was telling you before we started recording, it's always going. Like I wake up and there's something going. I wake up sometimes in the morning. There's songs, no matter what happens. But this morning I woke up and I was like, in the wintertime, flies go away. Do they die? If they die, how do they come back if all the flies are dead? But if they don't die, where they go, they're not hibernating like a turtle or a frog or something.
Mm.
Where the flies going, or if they're dead, where are they coming back from? So it's just kind of this nonstop, and that's kind of like what I feel of conspiracies is. It's such there's things that I question, I believe, and I question, and I love to hear all the different varieties of people's opinions. And I don't know. I love to hear it. You can prove me wrong, and that'd be great.
So a good thing with you, if I was you, if I asked loads of questions like you do, imagine what would happen if when you get a question in your mind, all these questions pop up. Write the question down, then go and research it. So then you'll have a question, then you'll have an answer. But what will derive from the answer is another question. Because
Yes,
and that's life, and this is what I love about
how
life,
my
right?
mind works.
You'll never, no one, even AI, you'll never know it all because there's always more to know. It's like a never-ending story. It's just this force of
A rabbit
information
hole. Yes.
that
I
this.
go down a rabbit like even if you pull up my internet browser
Mm,
and I get onto a website and I start reading it or looking at it, and there's like a little link for something. I'm like, okay, I wanna go look at that. But I don't lose this page. So I open this link and save it for later. Well, then by the time I get down to the bottom of the page, there's like 15 links pulled up that I don't remember why I wanted to look up in the first place. It's just like a never-ending rabbit hole, no matter what I'm curious about. There's more questions than answers, and I can't even get to the answers fast enough as I get to the questions.
that's why you've got to take it in small chunks, haven't you? So when you're
Yes.
thinking now, right? So you've started to question the church, right? Because that's what you do. You ask questions, you're questioning it, and you'll always get the answer. So then what happens? You sort of dissociate yourself from the church. How does that come to an end?
Oh, so okay. So the husband that my mom was married to that got us into the church, he died when I think 2002, I want to say. So I was like 16. So he died. So the summer before my senior year, okay, so a whole different part that I had wrote that's part of my story. Like it happened and I had been sad. I've been sad for a while, and there's a whole different little deal there's quite a few little bits that it's hard to start the story off without saying them, but I'm gonna skip over them. So I had become a little sad, depressed, and I had written stuff down, and there's some stuff that was known. There's even a little different stories, no matter who you talk to in the family of what really happened. But I just remember this one day, my mom came to me and she was mad at she had found a pair of jeans I had hidden or something. I don't remember what it was. But I went and got my diary and I was like, look, here you go. Here's my diary. Here's all my words. Here's what I do. Here's what I think. You can go ahead and ground me because I'm miserable and you're not going to ground me from anything. And so that day she said, oh, you know what? She's like, you can quit going to this church and you can wear pants and quit following the religious rules. And that summer in my senior year was when I went a little crazy. I was bound and determined to be a normal person eventually. I was gonna be not naive, not sheltered. I was gonna be okay.
And so when you decided you made that decision, you thought, right, okay, I'm stepping out of this box, and it is hard because you're jumping from one place into another to a completely new foreign environment. How did you
It
adapt?
was fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
liberating, exciting, isn't it? Everything's new.
It was. Everything was new. It was like it's like going to a new country. I don't know. It's like going on vacation. I don't know. It was a whole new world, new experiences, and it was everything that I wanted to do, and I got to do them. And I made the summer before my senior year, I had made two friends that were not from the church. And I started hanging out with them. I started that was kind of my toes in the water. I mean, we were drinking, we were partying, we were having fun. It was like but I hadn't gone to the public school yet, so it wasn't fully on yet. But it was a lot of fun. And then I got my senior year, and I try to squeeze any experience in that I could that I thought I'd miss that I thought I could learn from. So I never wanted to be the person that one day somebody would say something and I'd be naive or I never experienced this or that. So I wanted to experience absolutely everything I possibly could, and I did. And I had a blast doing it.
And what did you learn by going through all these new experiences? What did you learn about
Uh,
life?
I think my biggest thing was social skills. I guess one of the biggest lessons I learned that year, because I was so yes to everything. Yes, girl. I mean, I and also was I'm a pretty caring person. I'm pretty giving. And so I was yes to everything. No matter, I mean, people were taking advantage of me like friends. And this one boy, he was one of my really good friends, and I mean, he was still my hat. He's still whatever. I would take him out of town and and he would go off. He just used me for a ride. And my best friend at the time kept telling me, you're gonna have to learn to say no. You're gonna have to set your boundaries, and you're gonna have to make people respect you. Otherwise, it's gonna be bad the rest of your life. So this last trip I went on with him, we went to Albuquerque and we're gonna party. Just like there's quite a few trips before that, he always disappeared, and I'd end up be alone at this person's house I didn't know, staying the night and trying to find him to go home the next day. And I always went thinking it's gonna be a great fun party, and then I always ended up being alone and couldn't get a hold of him. So the last time we went out and he disappeared, and I called him and called him and called him the next day and he wasn't answering. So I left him and he had his paycheck and clothes in my car, and I took everything. He even called me before I was out of town, and I told him, nope, sorry, but I'm not coming to get you. I called you, I told you, I warned you, and I'm gone. and he ended up being stuck there for a week and never finished. He got his GED. I think he didn't go back to school because he missed so much time because he didn't have a ride back. So, but that was my big lesson: is be nice, be caring, be positive, friendly, but set your boundaries. Require respect from other people because they're not going to respect you if you don't require it. So you get what you get from what you require.
Well, that is definitely true. People think being they get confused with being soft with being nice. You can be nice, but like you said, you've got to have boundaries. Say, I'm a nice person, and I'm a good friend, but there's boundaries, and your friend said to you, you've got to put them in place because people just walk over you. You see it all
Yes.
the time. You see it all the
When
time.
I feel it's so funny now because I told one of my friends, so I have this best friend here in this town that I was friends with for so long. She's my best friend. And then when I went off, I married and moved off away. And I hadn't really talked to her, been in communication with her. And I came back and I told her, I said, it's so funny because I feel like I'm so much nicer now than I was back 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So much nicer, but I'm so much more strict on my what I require, the respect. I have boundaries and I will be nice to you, but I'm also a lot more strict and will cut you off. So it's kind of like I'm so different, but in both ways. Back, I feel like I was much more middle back then. I was nice, but also not nice. But I also didn't have very good boundaries, but I was also too nice. So now I'm more very nice, but also very strict on my boundaries.
And that's good because it gives you a sense of identity now. Because now you're thinking, right, I make the decisions. It's not about the other person telling me what to think, believe, and do. You're your own person, aren't you? And that's the only way you can grow as a human being by saying, right, this is who I am. This is what I want. But before, you were getting told what to think, do, believe, dress. So, do you know now then? How was your relationship, with your mother? Because I'm assuming they're still in the
My
religion.
mother is me and her. We've always had a little unique bond. I mean, I have a brother and sister. My brother's 13 years older than me. My sister's 11. But there's so much older than me that I was kind of raised as an only kid. And so me and my mother have this, she's a little wacky, a little quirky, but like me. She's very, and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of quirky fun. So we've always had that kind of relationship, and it's still good. It's I mean, she is who she is, and she has done the best she could. And at the end of the day, I would not change any of it because every decision she made for me was what made me who I am today. And I love who I am today, and I do not regret anything I went through, even the hard stuff. You gotta take what's hard, and you gotta learn from it and grow. And I look back at there so many decisions I made in my life and decisions that I made myself, not even that was made for me. And I look, if I would have made one different decision, I know I would have been happy, but I am I wouldn't like that person. I am happy with where I'm at today, and I would not want to change a thing. I was made strong, independent, and all kinds of stuff that was a result of the way I was raised.
On one positive note, but your mum sounds like a good person, to be honest, and she is a good
Yes,
person, right?
she is.
It's like I say, it's this because your mum's following this belief. She's not evil or anything like that. She wants
No,
to be a good person. She's
she's got
trying to.
she's got a huge heart, and
Yeah, of course,
she's she
absolutely.
does. She is a beautiful person, and she's fun to be around. She can laugh. She can laugh at us. She taught one thing about her is she taught me how to laugh at myself, and that
Yeah,
is one thing that so many people don't know how to do, and
yeah.
they get their feelings hurt. My mother taught me because she laughs at herself. She tells stories about herself, and the family laughs, and she can laugh at herself. And I love that. I love that I know how to do that, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, don't
So,
take.
I mean,
Well, I've got a plaque in. I've got a cabin outside, and it says, "Do not take life too serious. No one
no,
gets out alive anyway." And it's true. You've got to laugh at life because it's sort of it's a bit mad, isn't it? But if you get depressed
yes,
by it, go oh, and try and control it, you can't. You just think, well, it is what it is. Like you said, everyone's
she,
got their own different belief systems.
she,
Everyone's, but all you can do is be yourself because everybody else is taken, and even that, just that's a hard thing to do. So what you did, you stepped out of what was your life plan was, and you stepped out and you became yourself, which is a brave thing to do because everything you knew was the church and the belief
mhm.
system, but you stepped out of it. So you should give yourself credit for that. And now you're thinking, right, I'm getting to know who I am now, and that takes time. And the more you tap into who you are, you're like, oh, I'm a bit, I'm
Happier
pretty,
you get.
yeah, I'm a bit powerful, me. Oh, I can do anything I want.
Yes,
Like I say, your story
because
is
I can
something.
tell you,
Yeah.
I can tell you, probably 10, I don't know if it's 10 years ago, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I couldn't go around a group of strangers and feel comfortable.
Mm.
I would revert back to kind of like the insecure kid at the church. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, like this whole insecure. Now I have finally gotten to the point where I can go around nothing but a room full of strangers and I can make friends with everybody and have fun. And I no longer feel an insecure person. It's it's so fresh. I mean, I'm about to be 40. I'll be 40 next month. And I'm almost 40, and it's taken me this long to feel this secure. And it's nothing but joy. It's positivity, it's joy. And I cannot wait for the person I'm gonna be in the next 5 to 10 years or 20 years. I love it. I love growing, I love learning myself. And I think we all just love each other and love ourselves
And the only way you can love yourself is to be yourself, and that's true, that isn't it?
and accept your past.
Exactly. Accept it. Exactly. Accept. It's interesting because a lot of people in the world, and this isn't just from where you've come from, just people in general, the general public. A lot of people aren't. You're very bubbly and outgoing, which is that's good because a lot of people aren't like that anymore. They used to be. They're not as much now.
Yeah.
People are
Yep.
very reserved and they're like, oh, they care what people think. It's like me. I'm like, I'll talk to anyone. Me, I don't care. I used to be shy, but I just thought this isn't serving me here. Like, if I want to talk to someone, I will. And then people say to me, "Why'd you talk to everyone?" But then at the other end, people say, "You've got loads of mates." I went, "Loads of friends." I went, "I know." And he said, "Everyone knows who you are." I says, "I know because I talk to everyone." And so again, that's what by nature we're social creatures. So if someone says something negative towards you, they're antisocial, and you think, well, what does that mean? It means they're emotionally immature. They're not developed. So you just look at them and go, "All right, mate, just let them be. You go and play over there. You're not on my wavelength." And what you're doing, you've done that, which is great. And you've written a book about. Obviously, we're chatting about all stuff, right? But we're not really getting into this because you've got a
Yes.
book that you've written, which goes more deeper into things. So tell me about this book that you've written.
So yeah, I wrote a memoir. I was gonna write a memoir for covering my whole life,
Mm.
and I've wanted to write it. Well, like 10 years ago, I wanted to write my story. And I wanted to write it because I felt like if you know my story, if you know where I come from, you would probably understand me a little bit more. Maybe don't judge me, maybe just understand, you know? And it's a pretty good story. Like there's like even the stuff that's not that good, like it's pretty funny. Like it's a pretty good story. And I sat down about 8, 9, 10 years ago and I was trying to start this book and I couldn't even figure out where to start it, how to start it. And I also sat and I was not prepared to admit my whole past. So I guess I was ready about in August. I sat down and was like, I'm gonna try again. I had 9 pages that day and I was gonna write about my life, but then I got to 18 years and I was already over the word limit of what you're supposed to have in a novel. So I'm gonna have to keep going. But yeah, this book covers my childhood through 18 and everything I went through. And it has every petty thought. Like I was writing these stories and and I can remember all the thoughts that I had, and they were petty. The worst thoughts I had, the petty thoughts, the stupid thoughts, the thoughts that people wake up like, I'm so glad that no one knows what happens in my head. Well, I wrote those because it's fun to relate to people and think, okay, well, I kind of thought that too, or I'm not that crazy, I'm not that bizarre, or what I've gone through is not that bad because she went through it and she laughs about it, and it's kind of funny, and it's also kind of a lesson. It's a life lesson that you can go and you can learn and grow from. And so I wrote my book. I wrote about the prologue is kind of one of my favorite parts. It's from before me and some of my family's favorite stories that are pretty out there. They're pretty crazy. That's kind of my favorite part. But then from my dad to my stepdad to being the religion to going through all the different schools I went through and finally getting to senior year and going buck wild and ending up in jail. That's what I wrote about.
Did
Every
you say
good
it
and bad
ended?
thing in between.
Did you just say it ended up in jail?
Yes.
You didn't mention that bit. The
I
interview.
didn't.
So you ended up in jail.
Yeah, the weekend before graduation from high school and the weekend after.
And what can I ask what that was for?
Yes, high school party at the movie theater because the movie theater, the people who owned that, their son was in my class, and we threw a party the night before senior week happened, and the cops ended up getting called and arrested like 50, 60 of us, and I lied. I said I was 17 when I was 18, and the weekend after graduation, when the same cops that arrested us pulled me over for a license plate light bulb being
Yeah.
out on my car, and saw my license, said, wait a minute, you're not 17, you're 18. And so then I got an extra charge on myself and went back to jail. And anyway,
That's crazy.
yeah.
You can go to jail. In England, that would never happen. You couldn't go to jail for something like that. That's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, we were all drinking. Like, we got charged with everybody who was 18 or older got
Hmm.
charged with minor in possession and also contributing to minors. And then anybody under 18 just got contributing to minors. Well, then,
Right.
since I lied and said I was 17, then I also got concealing identity.
Right.
But
Okay.
I mean, everybody I should have went to jail the first weekend because I was scared. I wanted to go home, so I didn't do it. But they were in jail for 3 hours, and then the
All
judge
right.
had to let everybody out because it's senior week and we all had senior events going and couldn't keep the whole class in jail. And the weekend after, when I got arrested again, is holiday weekend, so I spent like 3 days in jail, and I was sitting there thinking, I could have been out in 3 hours and been in jail with my whole class, but instead I'm here by myself for 3 days.
Bloody hell.
But everybody, I mean, it all got, erased or whatever,
Yeah.
forgiven,
They
whatever you call it.
wipe the
Yeah.
slate. You're not. It's not a criminal
Yeah.
record. So what's the
It's only
name?
on the FBI record.
Right. And what's the name of the book called?
So currently, unless I change it again, it's called oh,
You don't
my
know
mind
it.
just went blank.
Is it available though?
Oh,
It's
that's too
available.
bad. Huh? No,
Is
it's not available yet.
Oh
I've
right.
got it
Okay.
written.
That's fine
I'm
then.
working on it, getting agent, but it's called Everything's Fine. Stop staring at me. Because kind of just
I like that.
quirky little,
Everything's fine.
yeah,
Stop staring at me. I like
yeah.
that. That's a good title,
'Cause that's
actually.
kind of
Everything's fine.
well, I remember growing up, one thing she complained all the time about, she would tell me something, and I told me, it's fine, everything's fine,
Mm,
don't worry about it. She always said, Carly, you gotta start stressing about something. I said, no, no, I'm
no,
not gonna stress. No worries.
no. Sometimes
My
stress.
computer's about to seriously die.
No, don't worry. We've been here for an hour and a half now, but no, that's great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, Kenya, for your story. Again, it's a work in progress, isn't it? It's not. It takes time.
It's written, but yeah, it needs some work, and I gotta get an agent and all that stuff, but I'll get
Yeah,
there.
you'll get there. Wherever there is, that's the question. How do we get there?
You never know.
That's what I'd be asking. Because it comes quicker. Again, if you ask the right questions, you get quicker answers, and that's the thing you should always. That's the thing I take from this interview. Just don't conform. Ask. If you because if you ask, you'll always find the answer. But yeah, thank you so much for
You can
share.
question yourself,
Yeah, you
like
can
you
ask me
believe
more.
something. Question yourself. Say, well, why do you believe it? I don't know.
Yeah, I question everything.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. It drives my wife mad, but she goes, "You're overthink." I goes, "I'm not. I'm just questioning things." But then when she asks me something, I always know the answer to it. And then she'll go, "Oh, you're a smart ass." I'm like, "I'm not, because I've studied it."
A little bit. I am.
Again,
But I'm also not.
knowledge. They say knowledge is power, but it's potential power. So yeah, that's what we should do: is question things and don't just accept things.
I would say it's not knowledge, it's power, it's positivity. Positivity is the real power. Knowledge is only as far as what you can prove, I guess.
Positive perception. More importantly, it's perception. It's how you perceive information.
Yes.
Because positive is the thing with being positive. This is the thing, because I used to think that. I said, "Oh, just be positive." But what is positive? I'd say it's more about thinking clearly, knowing exactly what you want, what resonates with you, what makes you feel good, and
Well, and also
focusing your attention on that.
acceptance. Yeah.
And acceptance, yeah. Know yourself, be yourself. And it's not an easy thing to do. It takes work. It's like going to the gym. If you want to get fit, you got to go every day. If you want to know yourself, you got to study every day.
Much
yeah.
easier and less tiring to be positive. Like you sit there and say, "Well, how are you?" "Oh, I really had a horrible day. Whatever. Something happened. This happened. Whatever. This is a horrible day. I just don't feel good." And you ask somebody else, "Well, how are?" "That's pretty good. This happened. That happened." Even if it sucks, I mean, sit there and say, "Well, it's pretty funny if you look at it. Like this really kind of sucked, but it's pretty funny."
Yeah.
Or, we got through it. You look at positive, and it's so less tiring. It fulfills my life to be positive.
It's like this. I'll give you an example, right? When someone says, they said, "How you feel?" They go, "Oh, I feel fed up," or "I feel miserable," or "I'm depressed." What they should say is, "I'm consciously aware that I'm in a negative vibration." I'm like, "What? What's that?" I said, "Well, now you know what it is. You're aware of your emotions." But again, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So there you go. That is Carla, and she was sharing her story. Again, she's full of joy and happiness, and good on her. There's a power in momentum, and when it comes to being positive, everything's energy, isn't it? And the more positive you are in life, they call it law of attraction or a law of attention. When you put good out, you get good back, and that's true. But you've got to think as well at the same time. And that's what she's done. She's questioned her environment, and it wasn't easy, but she did it, and now her life's changed. So now it's turned into a completely different reality for her. And again, she's written a book about it. It's not out at the moment. She's still waiting for a publisher. But as soon as it's done, I'm sure you'll be able to get it. And more than likely, we'll get Carla back on. So again, thank you so much, Carla. I really appreciate that. And again, look after yourself. And this isn't a dig at any religion. If religion brings you happiness, peace, and love, and joy, and fulfillment, then keep on doing it.